This is the fifth and final video for the series of how to make a Revit table. And in this last video, I'm just going to show you how to finish out the legs. We're going to use a new tool for this, and that's why we didn't do it in any of the previous videos. But the tool here is now going to be Revolve, and the real-world equivalent for this is a lathe. A lathe is how you would build something like a baluster for stairs. You can see in this little video here. And you can bring that up on any one of your own computers, but it's basically an axis, which is that vertical line, and then a shape, and then it takes that shape and just revolves it around the center. Okay, so to do that for our table, there's one really important step that can really only be done. This can only be accomplished if you put in a new reference plane in the right location. Well, it's easier if you put it in the right spot, and for us that's going to be centered on one of these legs that's already been created. So I'm going to go into the reference level, or the plan view here. I'm going to use the reference plane command, and just like we did last time, draw a line. And this one, as mentioned, I want this to be centered right through these front two legs, and I'm going to give it a name. I'll click here and call this table front. Now I realize that's not technically the front of the table, but it's the reference plane that is in the front of the table, so that name will work. Okay, now let's go to a 3D view, and let's turn on our reference plane so we can see what's active. It's not the new one that we just created, so we'll use the Set button to make table front the active reference plane. And that must be the front side of the table over here. Sure enough, there it is. And I'm going to look at this straight on from the front of the table. Okay, you could also do the same thing here just by going to one of the elevations. And then there you would have to set the viewport to be, the work plane to be the table front. You make that the active one again. Okay, but since we've already done that, here we can do everything that we would be able to in an elevation, only it's a little bit easier to see in 3D view. I can keep going like this and then going back to the front view to check my progress. And I'll start off by clicking on the Revolve. It wants two things here. It wants an axis line and a boundary line. The boundary is the shape or the profile, and the axis is, of course, just where's the center of the lathe going to be. And I'll draw a line right from the center of one of these legs down to the floor, and that's done. So we're so used to clicking the green check mark, but this is one of the tools where you don't have to do that. This one's just a little bit different. Okay, now we'll click on the boundary line and start drawing this shape. Now this has to be an enclosed loop, but there are all kinds of different shapes that you could conceive here, and really it ought to just be a combination of vertical lines and curves. And think about this almost in terms of how real wood is made, real wood profiles. So there's always going to be a blade associated with this. Okay, and I could do this for quite some time, and it would be a while before I get down here to the bottom. So I'm going to switch over to my other project where I've already done it and show you the same thing here. Let's go to the front of the table, and if I just double click on one of these, there we go. Okay, there's the axis, and you can see the shape. You can't extend that shape beyond the axis, because then it starts thinking that it has to create geometry inside of geometry, which it doesn't know how to do. So I could take this centerpiece and I could move it over. Something like that would work, and then I'd have a hollow center. But I can also just keep it right on its axis, and that will work. So again, I used curves, I used straight lines. I would strongly recommend that you try to use this tool here. I'm going to delete a line out so you can see what I'm going to do. But this tool here, which is the tangent and arc, allows you to just pick a line and then create curves from something that's already existing. Now you can't do sharp edges like I did here with this tool. So maybe a better example is through here. What it's really good for is bending back the other way. And you can see that I could really continue to do a pretty intricate profile and it doesn't take a whole lot of work when you use that tool, so that's what I like it for. At any rate, when you're done, you'll click the green check mark, and I'm going to undo some of this so that I can get back to where I was. You'll click the green check mark, and you will see a new shape generated. Now I'm going to get rid of the other 3 legs, because right after having created one, of course those would not be there. And I should also point out that when I created this video, I wanted to have some guidelines, so I used reference lines, and I created them right here in this 3D view. But I drew 4 reference lines, sort of an interior and an exterior, of where I thought I might sort of carve into this chair leg. Sorry, this table leg. So I wanted to see, if it's a 4x4, I can't go outside of this limit, and what are kind of the inside limits, the area that I don't want to cut into beyond that, except for down here at the very bottom. And so anyways, I found those to be helpful. You create one of them, and that's all you need to do. Now I'll go to the reference level, and I will select it and use that mirror command again to put one on the opposite end of the table here. And let's select both of them now. Do this one more time, and there's all four legs, and I have a nice looking table. Okay, and even though it's gray and ugly, we're going to fix that with another video series where we show you how to do some materiality in Revit.